Let's be honest, it doesn't matter if I stand on the stage or I stand down here, I'm still short and it doesn't matter. So I'm going to kind of walk around a little bit because, like I said, whether we give myself a little 2-foot prop or not, it's not going to make a lot of difference. But I came all the way from the United States of America, and I have a very short time with you that I want to send a very important message to my brothers and sisters in chiropractic. And if you'll notice, I came up here with one of these guys. No PowerPoint, not knocking those who do. It's not how my brain works. How many of you own one of these? The chiropractic textbook, raise your hand. So I want to start with a story that's going to kind of start our journey today. I'm in full-time practice across 2 offices in a state called Arkansas in the United States of America, which is, for most who don't know, which is most of you, it's right next to Texas. It's a very small state. I was born and raised there. It's 49th out of 50 in healthcare of the 50 states in the United States of America. And I think there's this connotation, maybe, over here in Germany, that the U.S., we have our shit together when it comes to chiropractic. And I'm here to break the news to you, we don't. The U.S. is just as broken as every other country in the world when it comes to chiropractic. But there's this connotation that we somehow have it together. My state, again, I stated, is 49th out of 50. My state is very sick. And I use the word sick, notice not pain. I had a client who came in my second year in practice. He was 92 years old, Parkinson's disease, completely riddled his body. His central nervous system was a wreck. And as a young doc on fire for this thing called chiropractic, I told him he needed to come into my office, and naturally his family said, he has Parkinson's. You do chiropractic. What could you possibly do for that? I told them the big idea, which we're going to talk about today. He came under care. And I'll finish his story later. But I want to start with this. For those of you who have read this, the chiropractic textbook, in the preface, which is the part where they preface what we're about to talk about, Stevenson says something that's very, very, very critically important for us all to understand here. He says, not until a student, because we're all students in this room, right? Even though we're doctors, we're still students. We're still ongoingly learning. I think that's one of the things that made B.J. Palmer a master, and we still talk about him today. It's because he was constantly a student. He never arrived, right? Once you begin to start to think in your head you have arrived, you are just beginning. And I think that's one of the things that made him a master, that perpetuated our profession, was his ability to understand that. But it's not until a student has reached the senior work is he or she able to question chiropractic. Never will you ever see me on social media having technique wars, bidding wars, spending all of this unnecessary energy on social media, inwardly fighting with other colleagues of our profession. You will never see me do this. And the reason for that is because oftentimes those people who are doing that, we don't have a definition of chiropractic that's the same. So if we don't have a definition of chiropractic that's the same, what we're doing is we're arguing over semantics and we have no common ground. You see, we have these things called laws. In the United States of America, we have a constitution. I don't know what you guys have in Germany. Maybe it's something similar. But that constitution dictates what happens in a court of law. If you do not know what the constitution is, you cannot walk into a court of law as a lawyer. In my world, I don't think you can walk into a chiropractic office and practice without having read this, because this is our constitution. It has definitions. It has laws. It has things in here that are what chiropractic is and then inherently what it is not. And we know this. And you'll see this oftentimes in our profession, these inner fightings. Is there inner fighting in Germany amongst chiropractors? The reason for that is this. There is a principle which is a bar against information, which is proof against all argument, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. And that principle is condemnation before investigation. You see, these people condemn chiropractic but have never investigated chiropractic. And so in order for us to go down the road of investigating chiropractic, we have to start where it began, which is with this, our definitions, our laws, what chiropractic is and what it is not. Okay? Why is that important? So in the very back, I'm going to go from the very front of this book to the very back of this book. There is something called BJ's Utopia. Has anyone ever heard of BJ's Utopia before? Can anybody give me a definition of maybe what utopia is? Anybody strong enough or willingly enough today to tell me what a utopia is? Anybody? An ideal world. Anybody else? Utopia. Paradise. Correct. Those are both great. Basically what it was is it was BJ's idea, the developer of chiropractic. What does a beautiful, perfect world look like? And I think we can agree that whatever that is, it is not what it is now. See, in the US, we just had this crazy thing, and I'm not here to talk about politics because we got enough shit to worry about. But we had a guy who just recently got shot in the neck and killed over his ability to just speak, right? What I'm here to propose to you today is that the real epidemic that's occurring on planet Earth right now is mental health. There has never been more mental health crisis on the rise than it is right now. Why does that matter to you? BJ's utopia, BJ's paradise, if you will, which I agree with his assessment as well because it's Grant Dennis's utopia as well. He just said it before I did, and it should be all of yours as well. I hope we're in agreement that this is what we want the world to look like. This is what we're in this for. It's an ideal sociological state, would be a country. We're represented by a lot of countries in here today. Thank God for that. State would be a country or a world without sickness, insanity, blindness, feeble-minded people, deaf and dumb, backward children, social evils, criminality, drunkenness and its attendant evils, abnormal reproduction. If chiropractic were given a chance to do its miracles and reasonable time allowed for the results to be brought about, it could do much. This would be a great economic saving because there would be fewer public and charitable institutions and penal institutions. I'm going to read this one more time. An ideal sociological state would be a country or a world without sickness, insanity, blindness, feeble-minded people, deaf and dumb, backward children, social evils, criminality, drunkenness, and its attendant evils and abnormal reproduction. What word was not used one time in that entire utopia description?
Pain.
Who said it? What did you?
Pain.
Pain. Nowhere in that definition was the word pain used. Well, that's interesting, because in my world of chiropractic, all I hear about is pain. Everybody out there marketing pain. You know, I don't know if everyone in this room realizes, but BJ Palmer actually had a sanitarium where people came in with mental health conditions that were completely sick. And he would run a scan, and he would give an adjustment when necessary, and he would leave them when it wasn't necessary. How many here have had the opportunity to have somebody walk into your office, you check them, look them in the eye and say, you do not need an adjustment today, you do not have vertebral subluxation, your central nervous system is clear. How many of you have had that opportunity before? Because I'm here to tell you, if you haven't, you are missing out on the beautiful greatness of chiropractic. See, they can go to a PT and get manipulated. They can go to a massage therapist and they can stretch them and crack them. But there is nobody on planet Earth that can check, locate, and analyze for the presence of a vertebral subluxation, make an adjustment when necessary, ensure that it was removed, and allow the body to heal itself and hold the adjustment for as long as possible. I was talking to somebody last night. How many of you know your adjustment percentage as a statistic? How often and what percent of the time that somebody comes in do they get adjusted? Is it 100% of the time? Is it 80% of the time? Is it 40% of the time? See, that's not a stat we like to really look at in chiropractic. But I'm here to tell you that the theory would be, if you believe in what's talked about in here, and if you believe in the innate intelligence of the body, you would hope that the longer you practice, that percentage went down, not up. See, the longer that I practice, and the more proficient I get in my technique, we get in our technique, the better and better we get at enticing innate to hold the chiropractic adjustment so that this person can heal for not hours, not days, for months and years at a time. It is possible for someone to walk into your office and have been holding an adjustment for months. That is possible in this room. And if you don't believe that, what I would ask yourself to inwardly then question is, how much do you actually believe in innate intelligence, and do you believe it's 100%? Because really what you just told me is it's 50%. And in some of our cases, what you actually told me is it was 0%. You just put a universal force, because the adjustment is a universal force in nature, correct? And universal forces are destructive in nature. But the good news is for us, there's an innate intelligence in the body that adapts forces for construction in the body. Which is why it doesn't matter if you do diversified, Gonstead, I'm an upper cervical guy, it doesn't matter if you do, it does not matter. Because innate does not know the difference between a TVP, a posterior arch, a body, right body. She knows where it comes from and adapts it. And until we can begin to understand that, this profession cannot unify. Which is why I'm here. It's what I'm interested in, is without unification, and if we don't come together as countries and unify under that universal premise, then we are running from BJ's utopia and running away from it. You know, there's this concept that we talk about in the United States. Artificial intelligence is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And the question always becomes, how do I get the message out to more people, right? The problem is, if we're not sending the right message through the right streams, we're sending the wrong message. Pain, come get adjusted, come get cracked, come get checked. There's a difference. See, our words and our definitions matter, and they matter a lot to people because they differentiate you. And differentiation in this world and that we're living in is a very critical thing. So then you might ask yourself, okay, well then, if I understand that, and I understand that the vertebral subluxation is detrimental to human health expression, and you believe that. Does everybody in here believe the vertebral subluxation, when present in somebody's body, leads to a deterioration in their health? Does everybody believe this? Is there anybody in here courageous enough to say, I don't believe that? Excellent. We're in 100% agreement on this. Then my question for you would be then, amongst the health deteriorating conditions in life, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, where on the totem pole do you put the vertebral subluxation complex? Do you put it above cancer? Do you put it above diabetes? Do you put it above heart disease? I hope you do. Because I need you to understand it's as detrimental, it's more detrimental, and is what causes these things. And we know this in a disease-ease scenario. Well, if you truly believed that, then wouldn't it be your job as a chiropractor to do everything in your power to make sure that you are the best and most proficient at finding that? Maybe you're sitting there today and you're like, you know, I don't know that I do that very well. I don't know that I am really, really good at detecting, locating, and analyzing vertebral subluxation. And that would be why you'd walk out there and you'd get interested in CLA. And that would be why you'd be interested in advancing your chiropractic artistry. Because the philosophy we just agreed on. The science is just what validates it. The artistry you choose to use is up to you. Now, if we're all painting a picture of a horse, I don't care if you do it paint by number. I don't care if you do it I'm just going to start by just painting something. I don't care. So long as at the end of the exercise, I can tell that it's a horse, we've achieved what we're trying to achieve, right? And the artistry is how you choose to go about expressing the philosophy and the science in your particular, some would call it technique. I actually think it goes beyond technique. I think it's the way you talk to people. I think it's the way that your practice is set up. I think it's the way that you communicate to people, how your practice setting works. Because I'm here to tell you, and I hate to break it to you, you cannot serve all people. In your particular area, you could take yourself, multiply it times 20, you still can't see all the people in your community. However, there is somebody walking around in your community right now that's sick, suffering, that you need to meet, that the universe is going to conspire for you to run into. And my question for you is, will you be ready? Will you be ready with the technique that you've used as your art form to completely transform their life and give them an experience they've never had before? See, that's what this book talks about. There's a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, and a senior text. I practice knee, chest, upper cervical, solid headpiece. I use a Titron scanner to check for the presence or absence of vertebral subluxation. I use an x-ray to locate the misalignment that I need to put a universal force into the body to remove that vertebral subluxation. I do knee, chest, solid headpiece because I'm short. I learned when I was a student, I'm not going to be able to lumbar roll somebody who's 6'6", 320. It's not happening. However, my artistry can be adapted because I understand the philosophy. And it's the same for you. Maybe you have a physical ailment of some kind that doesn't allow you to maybe adjust the way that you'd like to adjust, but you can adapt. We're in the game of adaptation, correct? This is what we do better than anybody. But see, if the organism, this room of chiropractic, is going to progress the movement of chiropractic, it's only going to be done with the whole organism at play here. And this leads me to this next concept. It's called depletion and repletion in the chiropractic textbook. So much like a Southern Baptist preacher in Arkansas, I'm going to cite my source. I can find it. So what it is a chiropractic textbook. There it is. Page 99, sophomore text. Sophomore text is one of my favorites. Depletion and repletion. So depletion is the abnormal shrinking of a cell, you, the cell, amongst the organism of chiropractic. Depletion is the abnormal shrinking of a cell that has once been normal size, or it is depreciation of soundness or construction. Depleted cells can be repleted, but they can come back. On the flip side of depletion, we have repletion. Repletion is the restoration of a tissue cell to normal size and soundness when it has been depleted. It is reparation in the trophic or nutritional sense. It is the coming back of a cell which it could not do if degenerated. You ever wonder in your practice sometimes where you see that patient who comes in, you give an adjustment, and literally right after the first adjustment, they just get amazing results? And then you have some that you do your analysis and you check and adjust them. It takes them like 6 to 8 months to get well. You ever wonder what the difference is? Well, this person had this condition 20 years, one adjustment, they got well. And this person's only had this particular thing for 6 months. It took me 6 months to get them well. Am I the only one who has that experience in practice? Happens all the time, right? It's this idea of depletion and repletion. You see, when the tissue cell gets depleted from its information from the brain, it gets sick. And with one adjustment, it can be repleted. That's that concept. It wasn't that the tissue cell atrophied or died. It just lost its communication. Here's my question for you, because you should see chiropractic in everything. Are you a depleted cell or a repleted cell in this profession of chiropractic? You may have felt like sometimes you get lost in the bog, right? Going through the motions. I just don't feel connected. I'm on an island. I don't feel connected to the profession. If you are repleted, you feel that. As soon as you have an adjustment in your career that removes, all the interferences are removed and you're just absolutely humming on all cylinders. Today is the day where you say, I'm depleted and I need to be repleted. Because we need you. Because if the organism is one tissue cell sick, it is sick. If we have 99% compliance in here, it's not good enough. We need the 1% who are sick, suffering, and depleted. We need every single one of you. Because your community may be the one community that's not contributing to the utopia that we're looking for. That's what gets me up every single day, is it ain't going to be my community. It ain't going to be mine that haven't heard the story. Mine is going to be in a repleted state. My question is, then the question becomes, what leads someone to be in a depleted fashion? There's interference that occurs. What is it that is interfering with your ability to send that message? Here's the ones that I find most often is one, they don't have enough conviction in the vertebral subluxation to go spread it. I don't actually know if it exists. I don't know. I've heard this concept. You got to be all in on it. And you got to be all in on it so much that the passion just seeps from you. When people walk by, they sense energy differently from you than they do everyone else. It's called certainty. Certainty. Because you know what the opposite of certainty is, don't you? The opposite of certainty is faith. Faith, certainty. People come to us with what? Faith. I hope David Serio can clear me. I'm sick. I heard he's who I go to, but I have faith because I don't know that he's going to be able to help me. But here's where magic happens. When they walk in and David Serio has certainty, that I know he has, that feels different to people. See, when they come in with 100% blind faith, I don't even actually know why I'm here. That you do know, that's how people walk into our offices. I don't actually know why I'm here. I've went everywhere else. It just seemed like the best last case scenario. But when you come to that situation and scenario with 100% certainty that the best thing on the planet for them in this moment is you, is me. When you can look at someone and say, Mrs. Jones, I just want you to know, I know you've been a lot of places, you've tried a lot of things. You're probably at a place where you've lost all hope and you've came in here on blind faith. And I want you to know that the best thing for you is me. Because I have certainty based on this set of examination that I'm going to do, that I'm going to be able to dramatically change your life. Now, what does change your life mean? It doesn't mean make them pain-free. You see, there's this new wave of things now called functional medicine, functional neurology, functional this, functional that, and we just throw adjectives in front of chiropractic all the time. You see, what people actually are interested in is function. They're not interested in pain and pain relief. They're actually not. And actually, I always wondered, what's going to be the thing that flips the script in chiropractic? What's going to be the thing that makes people go, wow, you know what, maybe this chiropractic thing is for real? And I want you to know that in 2020, the COVID pandemic, whether you believe it was real or not, I don't really give a shit. It completely changed the trajectory for us. Because you have to understand, when patients came in and they got that swab up their nose, what did they hope the test said? Positive or negative? What did they hope it said? Negative. When they go in for quadruple bypass surgery for their cardiothoracic surgeon, and they walk into that surgeon, do they hope for quadruple bypass? Or do they not hope for quadruple bypass? They walk into their dentist office. This is their world, okay? And I walk into a dentist office. I hope I don't get a what? Cavity. Okay, this is where it gets weird. But yet they walk into our offices and hope that they have vertebral subluxation. And now you can begin to see why people in their brains don't compute what it is that we do. Because you see, the best thing to say is, I have no idea if you have vertebral subluxation or not, but I'm going to examine you today, which is what you're paying for, and if you do, I'm going to give you an adjustment. Which, according to literature, you guys do know the recent literature says about 82 to 84% of people walk around this earth with vertebral subluxation. 82 to 84. It's the recent literature. Matt McCoy Press. You should look at that if you haven't, by the way. Which means, if that's true, and it is, that around 18% to 16% of people are walking around the earth right now not subluxated, which means they do not have a vertebral subluxation. It's probably because they're under the care of somebody. The point is, it's not 100%. Good for us. That's amazing. You know why? Because it makes you necessary, because you are the one who checks for, are they the 86%? So we have COVID. I don't want to be positive. 86% of people walking around with vertebral subluxation that are sick. This is where you come in. And this is why tomorrow, when you go into your office on Monday, you should raise your fees. The reason being is because you do that better than anybody else on planet Earth, and you should charge a fair amount for that. Because what people value is function of their nerve system. But if you're not telling that story, they don't know it. They just think you set bones. They just think you align spines. It's not what you do. You know how it's not what you do? We're going to revert back to our old friend BJ. See, everybody loves to quote BJ until it's time to quote BJ. Everyone loves to wear the shirts until it's time to bring him out. And then, oh, shit, I don't want to do that. Here's what he said about it. Hold on. Page 316. Senior text. One should never adjust vertebra to get them into perfect alignment. For what one thinks is the right position educationally may not suit an 8, and it very seldom does. Ouch, that's hard to hear. Only an 8 knows what an 8 knows, because that's not up to you. And I want to end with the story I started with. Ken Jones came in my office. He was 92 years old. He had Parkinson's. I told him this message I just told you. I believe the body's designed to heal itself. When you get a cut, it heals. The second thing is that your nervous system is where that communication happens. It's what drives healing in your body. My job is to locate, is there interference in that nervous system's ability to function and coordinate healing in your body? when there's a misaligned vertebra and I find that and it's causing that interference, I correct it with a chiropractic adjustment. Your body will heal itself naturally. I told him that. It's the big idea. Doesn't matter if you have Parkinson's or big toe pain or gout or whatever. Hashimoto's, dripping diabetes, whatever. Sorry for the translators on that one. He came in, he got checked, and he got adjusted. And I finally got him to hold an adjustment on visit 8. And see, what you guys are expecting is for me to tell you that what happened was I cleared Ken, he got well, his Parkinson's went away. It's not what happened. I cleared him out. I didn't clear him out. Innate intelligence cleared him out. I assisted in that. He looked me in the eye and he said, Grant, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me. I said, well, Ken, I'll see you on Monday. I didn't see him on Monday because what he did was he went home, got his whole family together, he had a dinner, took a nap at 2:30, and he never woke up again. That is chiropractic. Oh, I thought I was supposed to cure him of his Parkinson's. It wasn't what Innate had in mind because she's 100%, and only she gets to dictate what that meant for him. And what that meant for him was that he got to go out on his own terms. And that is chiropractic. Not about getting rid of pain. It's not about any of that. What it's about is unleashing this phenomena in the body called innate intelligence for her to do 100% of the time what she was destined to do for that person, to fulfill their destiny. And if you will do that with your community, and we can do this collectively, maybe we too can reach BJ's utopia. Thank you for your time, guys.